Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. I hope I'm never desperate enough for views to do a milk crate challenge, Perna. Mostly because I'm lactose intolerant, and my challenge would be sitting on one milk crate while drinking a half a glass of milk and seeing if I could last an hour without getting diarrhea. Today in NFL headlines, we've got the Jets teetering on the verge of hope, Washington's search for a new name, Justin Fields getting his shit rocked, and we've got fights both on and off the fields, in the stands, and my feature will be Mitch Trubisky's triumphant return to Chicago to butcher his old team like Daniel Day-Lewis from Gangs of New York. And if this analogy has any legs, Mitch will lose his MVP to Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger. Who remembers the 2003 Oscars? That's good sports. You don't have to, but we hit 250,000 subs here. Holy hell. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support, as I do on Patreon, patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. I have big dick Patreon shoutouts for new patrons. Guillermo, the Polite Raider fan Contreras, upping his donation. Jams, Xavier Edmanda, Gio, this is a tongue twister, Mateus Kedezorio. Mateus Kedzior. Just call them the Washington Waps already. Carlos Viatoro. Damon. Myron Goldsmith. Fitz on the Fritz. And Alex Walser. Thank you guys for your donations. Patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. That's where you support this channel. Any info you guys need for the Patreon fantasy drafts is up on Patreon. All right, for a look around the league, let's start in our nation's capital, Washington. Washington has narrowed down its potential names to 8. You've got the Armada, the Presidents, the Brigade, the Red Hogs, the Commanders, the Red Wolves, the Defenders, and yeah, Washington football team. Yeah, after all of this time, football team is still in the running. If they stick with football team, it will have been the greatest waste of time and money since Albert Hainsworth. Now, I'm partial to Red Hogs. You know, for masturbation jokes and stuff. Jets edge rusher Carl Lawson tore his Achilles in practice last week. This is a huge blow for the Jets, who desperately needed an edge rusher and found a great one in free agency with Lawson. The Jets haven't had a good pass rush since the Reagan administration, predating even the Albert Hainsworth signing in Washington. And it's going to be tough to find one without Lawson, who is one of the premier signings of the offseason. But please do not swallow that cyanide pill just yet, Jets fans. Zach Wilson looked, dare I say, awesome against the Packers, throwing a couple touchdowns at Lambeau with his hero, Aaron Rodgers, in the building. Wilson finished 9 of 11 for 128 yards and 2 18-yard tutties while racking up the highest passer rating of the preseason. And for the record, here's exactly what you should not tweet when a New York quarterback puts up that stat line. Jesus Christ. Everson Griffin is expected to return to the Vikings after spending a year with the Lions. He should arrive just in time to see renowned epidemiologist and infectious disease expert Dr. Michael Osterholm speak to the team. If you think the timing of this is a coincidence, you'd be wrong. Griffin is there to confirm how bad it is when your entire team is infected by a virus. Cam Newton will miss 5 days due to a misunderstanding about COVID testing. A misunderstanding about COVID. Welcome to the last year and a half of all of our fucking lives. Now, Newton is not traveling with the Patriots, which confirms that he hasn't been vaccinated, even though he got it last season too. But I didn't need confirmation. No one who uses this Instagram font has been vaccinated. Chill out, it's just a joke. The Raiders apparently called the Chicago Bears this offseason about a trade for edge rusher Khalil Mack. Thank you, Raiders, for saving me time, because I don't even have to write a punchline here. You are the punchline. You're a walking, breathing, living punchline. Maybe you should check in with the Cowboys and see if Amari Cooper wants to come back. Speaking of dropping the ball, Bengals' 5th overall pick Jamar Chase had 3 drops on 3 targets the other day against the football team. Chase opted out of his last college season, so it turns out not doing something for a year makes you not as good at that thing. You know who didn't have any drops? Penei Sewell. He has 0. Antonio Brown punched Titans cornerback Chris Jackson in practice. Then Sterling Shepard squared off with one Troy Hill at another joint practice. Look, it goes beyond the practice field. Fans are fighting in the stands too. First we had the Rams and Chargers fans pissed off at SoFi, and now we've got a Steelers fan learning you should never let your wife bring a slap to a fist fight. The irony here is the guy at the end in a Jack Lambert jersey playing Peacemaker. If Jack Lambert weren't still alive, he'd be rolling over in his grave if he saw this. Now again, you're not supposed to show the fighting stuff here on YouTube, so I'm pretty sure it's on Twitter somewhere if you want to check it out. This feels like a reflection though on where we're at in society. And the only solution is to have Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, and the rest of the 2004 Indiana Pacers roaming the crowds, keeping people in line. Eagles QB Jalen Hurts needs to learn to handle his abdominal pain like a starter. He didn't play last week due to a stomach infection. More like, Jalen, my stomach hurts. Lamar Jackson once cured himself of the same illness mid-game. In my experience, there's only 2 reasons for abdominal pain: having a baby and having to take a dump. Almost the same bodily function, but one is a lot cheaper. Bills linebacker Andre Smith nearly killed Justin Fields. Last week, Fields said the game felt slow to him, and now the game is so sped up that Deadspin thinks they should cancel the fucking preseason altogether. Given plays like this, they may have a point. Now, this might have been a sign that Justin Fields isn't ready to start. Or more likely, a sign that you shouldn't put the future of your franchise behind the backup offensive line. Now, I know Justin Fields has been building confidence against 6 stringers this preseason, but you might as well let him suck early on with an offensive line that knows how to, at the very least, diagnose a blitz. Keeping in the theme of poor diagnoses, it looks like Carson Wentz, as well as Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly, are returning to practice this week for the Colts. And based on this video of Carson Wentz cutting on the turf, I'd say he's ready to play week 1. A solid 7 weeks sooner than Indy's finest doctors predicted. And those are your NFL heady lines. All right, the Mitch Trubisky Revenge Game segment is brought to you by BenchwarmerBrew.com. This is my personal coffee brand designed to honor bench players who shine. Great, delicious, organic, ethically sourced beans that you can spend your money on. If you like coffee, you're gonna like mine. Now, after watching Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, the Bears should see if the Bills are interested in trading Mitch Trubisky to Chicago. I feel like he would be a good fit there. The Buffalo Bills crushed the Bears this weekend. Nobody is really discussing that for 2 reasons. 1, we all expect the Bills to be great this year, and 2, Justin Fields is siphoning all of the attention. Oh yeah, 3 reasons, it's fucking preseason. That said, without any hyperbole, I can honestly say Justin Fields throws one of the prettiest balls I have ever seen. when his team is trailing by 35 points. Now look, I know it's preseason. I know. It doesn't matter. But the Bears did sign Nick Foles and then Andy Dalton and then drafted Justin Fields, all in an effort to replace Mitch Trubisky. So seeing Mitch Trubisky methodically tearing apart the Bears defense in true MVP fashion is noteworthy in my football opinion. Mitch was also damn near perfect, throwing for 229 yards and a touchdown. He was 20 of 28. That's a Drew Brees-like completion percentage of 71.4. Yes, I think Sean Payton and the Saints signed Mitch Trubisky this offseason. Now, Trubisky finished with the passer rating of 106.4 as the Bills put up 34 in the first half. Keep in mind, this was a Bears defense that was playing all of their starters except for Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan. Former and future Raider Khalil Mack was out there. It was the way that Trubisky did it, though, that I think is telling. It was with a shit ton of quick, decisive, and accurate passes. He used Denver Broncos reject Isaiah McKenzie and Packers reject Jake Kumerow to embarrass his former team in revenge of the rejects. Mitch's touchdown pass to Jake Kumerow is as good of a throw as you can make. He's rolling right and then throws a dart across his body to Kumerow, which is the real reason Aaron Rodgers slapped Matt LaFleur's ass here. It seemed like there was no reason to it, but he knew somewhere Kumerow was doing well. The Bills, by the way, with Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox, Jake Kumerow, and Jacob Hollister, have the best hair metal band the NFL's ever seen. Now, Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll did not get a head coaching job this offseason, but after his work with Josh Allen, and then this small sample with Mitch Trubisky, he's got to be the top candidate for head coaching vacancies in 2022. Just like the Bears offensive line will be the top candidate for ruining Justin Fields' career this season. A Bear I am rooting for is receiver Rodney Adams. He followed up a great preseason debut with an even more impressive second outing. He basically saved Andy Dalton's career, which is crazy considering Rodney Adams has already retired from the NFL once, but realized having a kid is expensive, so he decided he better look like the best receiver this preseason and continued that by reeling in this jump ball and taking it 73 yards for a touchdown. So if Andy Dalton starts week 1, he can thank Adams and, of course, Matt Nagy, the only person in Chicago insistent on seeing Andy in the regular season. Matt Nagy. Bills fans should be moderately enthusiastic that their run game looked efficient. Part of Trubisky's success was due to the fact that once in the red zone, the Bills' backs were springing loose for big gains. Nothing crazy, but again, effective rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. It should be noted, though, that in the second quarter, the Bills went for 2, and Trubisky fired another dart, this time to Jacob Hollister to convert. The craziest thing Mitch did was lead the Bills to 6 points running the 2-minute offense before halftime. No, wasn't 1 touchdown. That was 2 field goals due to an Andy Dalton interception. But this sideline pass from Trubisky to Kumerow was fucking perfect. This is the best I've seen Trubisky look. He led the Bills to 34 points before Fields ever stepped on himself. So maybe the Bears' evaluation of Trubisky wasn't as far off as their coaching choice of Matt Nagy was. And that was the Mitch Trubisky revenge game. Bills fans, know you got a solid backup now. You got a solid backup, and maybe you could trade him this season if Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill tank. Tomorrow, we'll be doing another QB episode on predicting the starters for the preseason, the season. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can watch another video. It's on the screen. Links are in the description. And heck yeah, baby boy, baby.